Alright noobs, let's talk money. If you're thinking about working for a real estate developer, it's surprisingly hard to find good salary estimates out there. A basic Google search shows ranges so wide that even though it's probably not wrong, it's like if a weather forecast said, tomorrow will be somewhere between -50 and 50 degrees Celsius. So, based on my first-hand knowledge of the cost of labor and some discussions with some of my real estate colleagues, I've compiled what the pay scales look like for various roles within a real estate development firm, along with the biggest factors that influence the variance. And I'll start with those factors because they apply to every role. Number 1, the golden rule of real estate is the single biggest influence on your pay. Location, location, location. Tier 1 cities like New York, LA, San Francisco, Miami, and Chicago have the biggest developers competing for the biggest deals and the best talent, and tend to pay in the top 10% of the ranges. I can't speak for salaries outside of the US, but cities like Hong Kong, London, and Tokyo will probably pay on the high end of their countries. Even though the developers may actually have deals all over the country, the capital is focused in these cities, and that makes it easier to do big deals in high volume, which means they make more money. I mean, if I throw a rock in Midtown, I have a higher chance of hitting a finance bro who can underwrite a deal than hitting the sidewalk. Whereas companies headquartered in tier 2 and 3 cities can throw rocks all day long and there will be no finance bro casualties. Disclaimer, throwing rocks at people is a terrible way to start a partnership. The next biggest factor is the size of the developer you work for, and this really depends on the team's ability to raise money and execute deal flow. A small and productive team may generate a lot of revenue per head, but institutional-sized developers have such easy and cheap access to capital that their margins are probably bigger. Bottom line is, institutions will almost always pay more because they want to nab the top talent. Competitive pay at small developers, on the other hand, are a crapshoot. And the last factor is you. Real estate is very traditional and we pay for pedigree. Ivy League degrees, good grades, and big institutional names on your resume all get a premium, and you're gonna have to work extra hard to get the same pay if you're lacking in any of these departments. Now for the pay scales. The ranges I give should be fairly accurate as of the end of 2021. There may be lower or higher comp out there for each range, but those are the exception and not the rule. I'm gonna split it into two career paths, the acquisition side and the project management side, because they diverge pretty drastically. I won't cover property management or design related roles because not all developers have these teams in-house. I'm going to start with the project management side because I'm saving the juicier stuff for last. The project management progression is pretty straightforward, which I explained in my PM interview tips video. You just keep doing the same thing but manage more people as you move up. You'll start off as maybe an assistant PM or simply project manager straight out of undergrad, and this level lasts up to 3 years. This is a boots on the ground role, and project location will dictate your cost of living and therefore your salary. Although if it's an especially crappy area and the firm is leading gentrification, they might pay you extra to put up with living there. Base salary ranges can be anywhere from 60 to 80K with bonuses around 10 to 20%, so total comp around 65 to 100,000. If you're coming out of a construction management master's or did your time as a PM, you'll become an associate PM where you're expected to handle more projects on your own, maybe 3 to 5 at once. This level can last another 3 years give or take, depending on how tight a ship you run. Salaries will be around 80 to 130K base with 10 to 30% bonuses, so the total comp is around 90 to 170K. The next level is where some funky things start happening to the titles because it sounds stupid to keep the manager part. Like VP Project Manager just sounds like two titles slapped together. Did I just say slap like?
Slap like.
Some firms call it Senior Development Manager, some call it VP Development. No matter what it's called, the years of required experience is really what will indicate the pay range here, because this level is for people with at least 5 years experience and they'll keep this title for another 5 years or so. At this point, you'll probably be managing a team of PMs and overall budgets for a small portfolio of deals, so you might not have to be on the ground much anymore. Salaries will range from 130 to 200K with bonuses in the 20 to 30% range, so total comp should be around 150 to 260K. The next level is pretty much where the PM careers top out, and there's probably a director in the title somewhere, like Director of Development or Managing Director, Development. This role is responsible for hitting execution targets on large portfolios, and their pay is largely based on deal performance. This role will mostly only be found in big institutional developers because smaller shops don't need that many levels of PMs. So the pay will be on the higher side, but again, really depends on portfolio performance. Total comp should be somewhere between 250 to 500k. Okay, let's go back down to the bottom of the career ladder, but to the acquisitions path, where the titles will generally progress from acquisitions analyst to associate to VP to director to principal. There may be a senior attached to some of these if the companies are more granular about it. At the analyst level, you've got 0 to 2 years experience and come straight out of undergrad to do Excel monkey tasks. And you'll see pay range from about 60 to 90k with bonuses in the 10 to 20% range, so total comp around 65 to 110k. Again, keep in mind big institutions in tier 1 cities will pay the most pedigreed talent at the top 10% of these ranges. If you've got a master's degree or you put in your 2 years as an analyst, you'll progress to an associate and keep doing those Excel models but add on some biz dev work. This level lasts for about 3 to 4 years, and the base pay will start around the 80 to 120k range and rise to 110 to 150k range. The bonuses may be around the 20 to 30% range, so total comp can be anywhere from 90 to 200k. Things start to get interesting around the VP level because this is where you transition more to a producer of new business by originating deals. So firms may allocate a larger portion of the comp to the bonus to incentivize performance. This role can last anywhere from 3 or 4 years if you're amazing, or 10 years if you're stuck. And base salaries should start around 150k, but could get as high as 250k with more experience. Bonuses can get pretty fat here, with total comp ending up in the 200 to 400k range. I mentioned people can get stuck at VP because there just aren't a lot of director level openings, so sticking around long enough doesn't mean you'll get promoted. Directors manage entire portfolios and capital markets relationships and really generate a sizable chunk of the business for the firm. At this level, base salaries are almost definitely smaller than bonuses, so it could be around 250k on the low end, but top out at 450k. But say you're managing a 9-figure portfolio and you hit all the return targets, your bonus could be $500,000 to $1 million. That might sound like a lot, but there's one level left: the principal. At this level, there's only a handful in each firm, and they either founded the firm or they make the firm so much money that they're given an equity stake. There's no set range here. This number depends entirely on how well the deals you manage perform and how much skin you've got in the game. At the top firms, this number is easily in the millions. See, the PM path isn't so attractive now, is it? Not to say that PMs can't become principals, but the nature of the role doesn't generate new business, so you're less likely to become a principal. Either way, since the comp is so dependent on portfolio performance in the upper levels, the most straightforward way to maximize your comp is to try to join the firms that are consistently making the best strategic investments. And you'll be able to tell by keeping tabs in the real estate news. Working directly under the best deal makers will increase your likelihood of becoming a high performer yourself. And there is one more level for each of these paths: starting your own development firm. Because when you get towards the top, you'll not only be ready to do it, but you'll probably have enough cash saved up too. And that's why you should hit subscribe, because in my next video, I'm going to explain how much you can make as a developer who hires all these people instead of grinding as an employee for a salary. Stay curious, noobs.